Rise and shine with global entertainment news. The one report. I'm your host, Bella, ready to kickstart today with the full fresh news and story. All right, here with me and brings it us back to the studio, please.
Uh,
Let's dive into today's headlines fresh from the nation and the Gambia. Top story from the nation. Brace of for cost reflective tariff. Minister tells Nigeria. The nation economy can no longer sustain electricity subsidy, Minister of Power Adebayo Ola Adelabu said. Well, I think that this is another problem that we are having in Nigeria that talks about the power or whatever is subsidy that the state nation can. I don't really understand what is happening in Nigeria, but it feels like this powers of this call that they are still talking about what they are having issue with is not in a good state at all. Is not. As Abdullah's case, he told Nigeria to brace for cost reflective tariff. We have to understand that our economy cannot sustain subsidy indefinitely, Adelabu pointed out at a meeting with the chairman of Generating Company of Nigeria, Genewsng, in Abuja. He, however, reaffirmed government interest in providing targeted subsidies for economical disadvantaged Nigeria. He did not explain the category of Nigeria in the economically disadvantaged category. The federal government currently owns generating companies, disco, over 4 trillion bank, in backlog subsidies payments. Wow.
well, it's still amazed me to actually be in a country that has stayed over 50 years, over 60 years, when it comes to independence and the fact of at the end of the day we are still in a state where we complain about electricity, complain about the poor subsidy and everything. I believe this country has the capacity of going away through all this electricity effect and having issues when it comes to electricity. We've gone to the extent where we should be able to say, okay, we are free from electricity issues, free from tariff issues and things like that. Because
Here we are, still going back over and over again that we can't even
yeah,
have a stable electricity in Nigeria, not even in the health sector, because you'll be in the hospital and then the next thing they say the NEPA has taken the net and some people are in the theater that they can't even operate on because there's no light. We are really, really backing out when it comes to other states in Nigeria. And it feels like our government really has to do a lot of things. When I say a lot of things, there is a whole lot of things that needed to do. Imagine Ghana here telling us that they have 24 hours, like while we Nigeria that actually shared
really,
how they can't even boast of 24 hours, like and then we are still fighting over and over again.
it's actually bad. I tell you, it's actually bad.
Well, I don't know how to say it, but I feel like our government is failing us in each and everywhere. I think it could be. Well, let's move on. Federal government allay here over threats to budget 2025 implementation. Despite headwind, budget 2025 will be implemented to achieve its objective, federal government said yesterday. A drastic drop in oil price and delayed take-off, among other factors, are threatening the 54.99 trillion appropriation act. An official says there was no cause for worry because the government can easily adjust to the international oil price fluctuation. Besides, the official says the lifespan of the capital component of last year's budget was proactively extended till next month by the National Assembly to take care of such shock. A source said critical steps are already in motion to ensure that the budget is not derailed. The National Assembly took proactive measures by extending the lifespan of the capital component of the 2024 budget until June. Imagine.
So the federal government are always out to always want us to believe that there is a reason for us to put hope in them You are talking about the budget now. The budget,
2025 budget is already at risk.
it's we've,
Oh
we've,
my
we've we've
God.
not seen what we budgeted for this for last
For
year
last year.
already. Now we should now be expecting budget for this year. I think it's actually very very poor when it comes to what and how the country is actually putting things in the normal way it's supposed to be. Very very bad.
Very, very bad for Nigeria because if I'm going to try to put this last year, I think that the president actually remitted about $1 billion
Yeah,
for the 2024 year ending budget, and then it's actually something that we are trying to figure it out. That last year to now, what I could say is that this entire budget of his that he actually remitted was spent on traveling to France expedition because this is actually the fifth time that he's traveled to France. And then there have been a whole lot of complaint about it when there was massacre in Benue State and all that, and then there was never anything that is being done for it. And then they are already feeling like this 2025 year budget is threatening, but they wanted to calm the nation that nothing of such is going to happen. But I feel like something of such is already happening. If
yeah,
2024
definitely.
budget was never being implemented in anything positive, then how are we sure that the 2025 budget is going to be implemented to a good thing?
I think we live in a country where we shouldn't be expecting or believing what the federal government or the government comes outside to pull or to say. Because if you listen to what the government I think they're ready to offer, they're actually behind or something. So we really need to focus more on it.
I don't even know if our government is going to let us focus on something better. Well, let's move on. Student loan. Now, urge government to sack vice chancellor, rectors mismanaging scheme. The National Association of Nigerian Students (NAN) has urged the federal government to sack head of tertiary institution found to have mismanaged the student loan scheme implemented by the Nigeria Education Loan Fund (NEC NAN National President Olusola Lajoda Lajoda says this while addressing the reporters at the weekend in Abuja. Lajoda says the action of some head of tertiary institutions, if left unchecked, would stem President Bola Tinubu's commitment to inclusive access to education through the student loan scheme. The NAC president announced that the NEC fund would meet with all student union governments, presidents across Nigeria. Wow.
Well, it's actually very, 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 very sad and bad for us to come out and be hearing things like this when it comes to. Yeah, I think this news came out last week when we heard about the mismanagement of student loan fund. It's actually very very poor, and a money that you are meant to use to give a better education, to give students a better opportunity to education. That's actually the amount that the leaders, the rectors, the chancellors of the school are actually thinking is the money they can actually canvas to their pockets for their own selfish interests. It's actually very bad. And I support the fact that the NEVC rectors involved in the mismanaging of this fund should immediately vacate the office.
In the office
Yeah,
immediately. But they're talking about that this thing is something that is going to tame the President Bola Tinubu what its own aspects towards education. I don't actually feel like well, there's going to be a whole lot where there are some students in school that can actually afford their school fees and then they will take for the student loan. But the implementation and then the risk all the involvement, the necessary application that needed to go into the student loan before a student can even acquire it is really, really stressful. And then at the end of the day, you're still going to use where there is no job in Nigeria, you're still going to spend your entire life paying back to the government, something that could have just made free for some students because I hardly feel like there's no much free education in Nigeria.
that's all.
There is none. And this thing is supposed to be of something that the government, every government school are collecting school fees that you have to pay. It's either they say that it's the smallest amount that you have to pay because it's from the government, or there is no free education in Nigeria. Well, let's move on. NDLEA seized 3.4 billion drug in Lagos, Port Harcourt. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has intercepted 942 explosives headed for Zamfara State on the Kaduna Zaria Expressway. Director Media and Advocacy (NDLEA) Headquarter Abuja Femi Babafemi made this known in a statement yesterday. Babafemi says the explosives, which were in a sack, were seized by operating on patrol.
Well, I think this is a very it's something we should stop or um reduce, because the rate at which
Drugs.
drugs trafficking and is actually rampaging in the society is actually very very bad, because there's no day you come out you must hear about a particular person being caught for drug trafficking and everything. Nice work from the NDLEA, because I can see they actually been putting much effort when it comes to carving out drug trafficking in the society. It's actually a good
Well, he added that the 13-year-old suspected Nura Sani Mohammed, alias Nuru Kawiji, was arrested. This is something that it's becoming a norm in Nigeria that even the youth and the old are now involved when it comes to drug trafficking, because it feels like the states that Nigeria is now, the illegal way is the one that is
yeah.
gaining. And when you try to caution those people about the act of crime, and they tell you that the leaders that are at the top are looting money and then they are involved in crimes, why haven't they been apprehended yet? So it's hard in Nigeria right now. Well, today's top three from the guidance we have for you. 162% more customers migrated to Bank A as Tinubu meets Genewsng over 4 trillion debt. Amidst fears of an impending collapse of Nigerian power sector, the federal government has pledged urgent intervention to offset the 4 trillion on the electricity generation company Genco. A move it says it's critical to stabilizing the sector and ensuring uninterrupted power supply. President Bola Tinubu is expected to meet with the leadership of Nigerian Genco as part of an emergency effort to address the 4 trillion debt threatening to cripple the country's electricity supply chain. Despite the unreliability and instability of the national grid, the number of electricity consumers placed on Bank A by the federal government has soared by 162,000. Wow.
Well, this issue about electricity and band A, band B, I think we shouldn't even be facing things like this at this stage.
There shouldn't even be anything like Bank A, Bank B, Bank
Just
C to Bank D. Like it's just as if that even if you are still in that Bank A, you are in Bank D, you are paying the same amounts that those that are in Bank A are paying, and then you are still being exhausted. If you have more than two fridge, AC, a flat screen television, all that you are going to be charged enough money.
well, I think this issue is something that should have been carved out a long time ago. Because if we're emphasizing on band A, band D, it's not even a solution when it comes to a better electricity and better power supply in Nigeria. Because we do see a situation whereby there will be light in a particular area and there will not be light in a particular area also. So I believe Nigeria should have caught this a long time ago, because to me, I don't see it as this as an effort or as a way for the Minister of Power, Minister of Power, Adebayo. He has actually taken so many focus when it comes to news outbreak and everything. I think his administration needs to really be checked, because so many money has actually gone into that power supply that
And it's not having
we expect
that
more from it.
positivity.
Yeah, we remember when we heard about power outbreak and everything almost almost 15 times in a year. So many money went into that aspect. Now we are seeing hearing about a 4 trillion naira debt that has been to be paid and everything.
We really need to check what is going on in the
Yeah,
electricity
sure.
sector. Well, moving on, how estate agents on professional conduct influence. All professional parties by estate agents in major cities are significantly influencing the spike in rents and worsening the house prices across the country. Experts blame the lack of vast adversity. Well,
Well, I think this issue about increments in house rent and everything, it has been something that has been there a long time ago when it comes to the economy and everything. But the rate at which these agents and everything increase house rent for people, for a layman. Just imagine a layman that wants to live in a three-bed apartment, and you are telling the layman that total package is 1 point something million, and with the cost of living in the country and the cost of income rate in the country, you expect this person to pay 1.2 million just to park in
yeah,
to a particular place, and 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 once person don't get to the particular place, you can't even get the kind of service you expect
you
in
expect
a
it.
particular place. So I think the government needs to look into those in charge of agents when it comes to housing in the country, because I think they are now the new way of of
Scam.
extorting and scamming people.
Let me call it scam.
Because you taking a when you know that this particular person needs this house, and you are now using that advantage for the person to extort the money he wants from the person, it's actually very bad.
Definitely.
It's actually very bad.
It's very, very bad because the states that we are now in Nigeria, most people can not even afford that amount of money to even pay an agent of money of paying for a house rent. Well, let's move on. Police officer accused of extorting 13 million from woman in human treatment. A police officer attached to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Yaba, Lagos Assistant Superintendent of Police, John Alabi, has been accused of professional misconduct by the businesswoman Anoma, Miss Anoma Ubochukwu Inze. She alleged that Alabi tortured her, subjected her to inhuman treatment, and compelled her to transfer 3 million to him and his compliances. Wow.
This is very very bad when it comes to the corruption rates inside the security
Sector.
sector. It's actually very very bad. Just imagine that kind of scenario where you have to compile a particular suspect. I don't know if this is a suspect or I see her as a victim in this, because 30 million naira is actually a huge amount of money that that
30
you
million.
30 million is actually a huge amount of money to be extorted from someone, and you expect that person to keep quiet in that particular aspect. It's very very bad, I tell you. Nigerian police really need to work in how they treat people, and I like I said earlier, I think I said in one of the news earlier about Nigerian police having seminars for themselves to be able to educate them on the way they treat other people, their hospitality when it comes to talking to people. Nigerian police feel once they are under uniform,
They have this superior power.
once they're under uniform, they have guns with them. The veto power they have is surpass any other thing you have to say. It's very very wrong. I tell you, very very wrong.
Well, I feels like this police brutality has actually come to the fact that everybody in Nigeria are actually complaining about it. Some people that manage to leave the country, if you ask them about the Nigerian code, they are going to tell you that they never had a good experiences with them. And then this thing is becoming something that we, even those that are still in Nigeria living with them, we are scared about it, and then we don't know how to go about it. And it feels like I don't know how we are those security personnel are being trained, or how they are made, how their brain is being wired towards when it comes to security and protecting the citizen. But we, the Nigerian security, I don't think that we are taking it in a good hand. We are not taking it in a good hand. Well, let's move on. NDLEA seized drug in chocolate tin, 3.4 billion epidol, intercepts explosive. Operating on the National Drug and Law Enforcement Agency have intensified efforts to combat drug trafficking across Nigeria, arresting multiple suspects and seizing illicit substance worth billions of naira in a series of coordinated operations. At the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, 42 parcels of cannabis, loud, a potent strain of cannabis, weighted 20 kilograms, were intercepted. The drugs were concealed in tin of chocolate Milo and kidney beans among cargo arriving on a British Airways flight from Canada. Wow.
This is it's no longer a new
Very new thing in
no longer a
Nigeria.
new thing in the
It's not
country
a new thing.
because we know and we've seen how these operations are really taking place in the country and how the NDLA has really tried and put in effort to be able to cough this out of the society, and it's actually working because we've seen how handful the NDLA have been on deck trying to curb this out of the society. 3.4 billion naira worth of cannabis is actually a huge amount of money. Just imagine how much people actually invest in illegal activities. It's actually very huge. 3.4 billion naira is actually a huge amount of money. Someone can actually take into a proper business and push it in. Well, but they believe on doing illegal too. But I tell you, this woman that was actually for herself, it's definitely there will be someone she's eagerly working for to be able
Definitely,
to
there will be someone with from
shipping in cannabis from Canada. I tell you, it's not a day connection.
you know,
It's not something you can just open your eyes and close your eyes and believe it can just come in and out. Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. We have come to the end of the show. I have been your host, Bella. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, have a pleasant day. Bye.